August 31st, 1997. A day of glitz and glamour took a menacing turn, and the world woke up to news that echoed around the globe, shattering hearts and sparking controversies. Today, we dive deep into the timeline, the enigma, and the aftermath of this very day, a day when a people's princess bid her untimely farewell. Today, on a day like this, the death of Princess Diana. Diana Frances Spencer, globally known as Princess Diana, was much more than just a member of the British royal family. She was an international icon who left a profound and lasting impact on the world. Born to nobility, Diana herself became an emblem of royalty when she married Charles, the Prince of Wales, in 1981. Their fairy tale wedding was watched by over 750 million people around the world, and it marked the beginning of an era that would see this young princess capture hearts globally. But it wasn't just her royal title or her glamorous style that made her famous, though undoubtedly those elements added to her allure. Diana was known for her compassionate nature and boundless dedication to charitable work. Her empathetic stance towards society's marginalized and disadvantaged set her apart from other royals, earning her the epithet, the People's Princess. Her charitable pursuits ranged from working with leprosy patients in Indonesia, landmine victims in Angola, to raising awareness about HIV/AIDS at a time when the stigma surrounding the disease was rampant. Diana had a knack for connecting with people. She'd shake hands with HIV/AIDS patients without gloves at a time when the world shied away from merely mentioning the disease. She'd kneel down to people in wheelchairs, acknowledging their presence with a soft gaze and a warm smile that resonated genuine concern. Her charity endeavors weren't royal obligations, they were personal missions. Missions that humanized royalty and showcased empathy on a global scale. However, amidst this radiant public life, there lurked shadows of personal turmoil that played out behind the royal curtained windows. Her turbulent marriage to Prince Charles and impending issues fed an insatiable press, drastically intensifying media attention towards her. In 1996, their divorce was formalized, but this only seemed to amplify the spotlight on Diana's life. In short, Princess Diana was not merely a figurehead of British royalty. She transcended those boundaries and became a beacon of hope and compassion worldwide. Loved for her vibrant personality and respected for her humanitarian efforts, she embodied a kind of royalty rarely seen, one marked by genuine care and empathy. But let's stop for a minute to understand more about the relationship between Princess Diana and Prince Charles, as this will be fundamental to the events that came after. In 1981, this is when the fairy tale union of Diana Spencer and Prince Charles took place. Their wedding was a global spectacle, with millions riveted to their television screens, enchanted by the young, seemingly radiant bride. Diana's entrance into the British royal family was met with a worldwide fascination. Her charm, elegance, and kindness quickly captured hearts all around the globe. However, the reality behind the palace gates was not as gleaming as it seemed. Within a few years of their marriage, Diana and Charles found themselves entangled in an intricate web of personal discord. The couple's misery was only intensified by their struggles to function under the harsh glare of a ceaseless media spotlight. The marriage saw moments of joy with the birth of two sons, Prince William in 1982 and Prince Harry in 1984. But these pockets of happiness were overshadowed by growing friction and allegations of emotional distance and infidelity on both sides. In 1992, Diana, Her True Story, was published. This controversial book opened the floodgates to their marital struggles publicly, confirming affairs and detailing Diana's mental health struggles. The book shocked the public and even led Queen Elizabeth II to urge the couple to divorce. The subsequent years brought further miseries for Diana. The separation from Prince Charles was announced in 1992, followed by an unprecedented television interview in 1995. In this BBC Panorama interview, Diana spilled secrets of her emotional turmoil, speaking candidly about her bulimia, self-harm, and the infamous statement that there were three in her marriage. As mentioned, by 1996, the fairy tale marriage formally ended in divorce. In the period following her divorce from Charles, Diana continued her charitable work and tried to create a semblance of normality for her sons amidst relentless media scrutiny. However, Diana's life post-divorce was also marked by her involvement with Dodi Fayed, the son of Egyptian billionaire Mohammed Al Fayed. Their relationship was short-lived, but filled media tabloids with speculations and ignited controversies related to the British monarchy's acceptance of a potential Muslim influence. As the summer of 1997 approached, Diana, now free from her royal ties, was seen frequently with Dodi Fayed. Their blossoming relationship, under the hawk-eyed scrutiny of the media, became the talk of the town. Their gleeful escapes, vacationing on the sunlit Mediterranean aboard the Fayed family's yacht and savoring outings in the city of love, Paris, were meticulously followed and documented by a ceaseless swarm of paparazzi. But then, on August 31st, Amidst the twinkling lights of Paris, the lives of Diana and her companion Dodi Fayed took a fatal turn. The couple had spent much of the day at the residence of Mohammed Al Fayed, Dodi's father, in the heart of the city. As midnight approached, they decided to leave the Ritz Hotel, where they had been dining, and return to their private quarters. Eager to avoid the ever-looming paparazzi, they slipped out the back door and climbed into a Mercedes S280 driven by Henry Paul, the Ritz security officer. With an impatient swarm of paparazzi on their tail, Henry Paul accelerated down Rue Cambon, leading them towards Place de l'Alma tunnel. Details get hazy here. Some mention blinding flashes from cameras, some talk about another vehicle being involved. But whatever exactly happened as they entered the tunnel resulted in a catastrophic collision that would ultimately claim Diana's life. What followed next was a surge of disbelief and shock felt around the globe. News bulletins began to flood international television networks, each bearing the heartbreaking headline, "Princess Diana, dead in a car crash." This sudden loss of a beloved figure sent a wave of grief through countries far and wide. People huddled in front of their television screens, their hearts heavy with mourning. Within hours, an ocean of tributes and condolence messages began to pour in from world leaders, celebrities, and people who admired the charismatic princess. As morning dawned in Britain, millions were seen gathering outside Kensington Palace, laying down flowers, notes, stuffed animals, tangible fragments of their affection for the lost princess. In Paris, a melancholic silence draped over the city as residents and tourists paid homage to Diana at the site of the fatal crash. It was a tragic end for the people's princess. The wave of public grief was mirrored by a tangible outpouring of emotion as people from all walks of life queued patiently to sign condolence books. In a time before social media, this was how many chose to share their feelings, their memories of Diana, and offer words of comfort to her young sons, Princes William and Harry. The funeral itself, held on September 6, 1997, reflected the public sentiment. Over 1 million people lined the procession route from Kensington Palace to Westminster Abbey. The global audience for Diana's funeral was estimated at 2.5 billion, making it one of the most watched events in history. Diana's brother Earl Spencer delivered a deeply moving eulogy that praised Diana's generosity and kindness, but also pointedly criticized the press and the royal family. His speech became one of the most memorable and controversial parts of the funeral service. As the dust of grief began to settle, a litany of controversies around Diana's death began to emerge. Allegations about the role of paparazzi chasing Diana's car and questions over whether faster medical help could have saved her life fueled intense debates around media ethics and privacy laws, ultimately leading to profound changes in the way royal families and celebrities were reported on. Her death was closely scrutinized by multiple official inquests in both France and Britain. After a 6-month investigation in 1999, French authorities blamed Paul, the driver of Diana's car, and the paparazzi pursuing them. Britain's own investigation, which ended in 2008, came to a similar conclusion. Her tragic demise ignited a conversation about mental health, an issue Diana herself had openly discussed during her lifetime. It encouraged many to come forward with their own struggles. Today we remember August 31st, not just as the day we lost Diana, but also as a turning point in how we confronted issues around media ethics, privacy, and mental health collectively as a society. Long after her passing, Princess Diana's contributions to charity have endured powerfully. She wasn't merely a figurehead, but an active participant. From visiting Angola to raise awareness about landmines, to her groundbreaking work on destigmatizing AIDS during an era of fear and misconceptions, Diana left deep footprints in humanitarian sands. Her causes didn't just survive, they thrived and came into full view of public consciousness, encouraging greater participation and understanding. Her tragic demise also thrust the issue of media ethics and privacy into the global spotlight. Many argue that the insatiable paparazzi culture contributed to her untimely death. This ignited fierce debates over the responsibilities of the media, pushing for improved regulation and respect for personal boundaries. The shock of her death triggered some notable changes within the British royal family too. Queen Elizabeth II, who was initially criticized for her response to Diana's death, addressed the mourning public, a departure from long-standing royal protocol. This trend has continued as younger royals, including Diana's sons William and Harry, embrace a more accessible and open approach. In terms of pop culture, Diana continues to influence fashion trends, and her life still captivates millions through films, television series, and books. Moreover, her sons' weddings were poignant cultural moments that reflected her distinct influence on their lives. While we remember August 31st as a tragic end to the people's princess, it is also a reminder of a life that went against some of the rules that she was meant to follow as part of the royalty, and that in a way pushed the royal family to become more open. You see, contrary to the demure image usually associated with royalty, Diana was quite the adventurer at heart. Did you know she was an avid swimmer and a skilled diver? She had an enchanting relationship with water, displaying grace and agility that rivaled her command over land. Beyond her commendable athletic prowess, Diana's love for music also occupied a special corner in her soul. She held a deep appreciation for ballet, often seen attending performances and supporting the art form. Moreover, she was known to have a decent record collection. Surprisingly, it wasn't just classical symphonies, but also contemporary pop bands that found their place in her musical repertoire. But perhaps the most endearing among these lesser-known facts was Diana's genuine knack for connecting with people, from royalty to the common masses. In her official capacities, she often stepped out of traditional protocols to greet crowds by shaking hands sans gloves, bending down to children's eye level, or hugging patients, proving every inch that she was the people's princess. These aspects underscore the depth of her character, adding layers to Diana's persona, which contributed enormously to her lingering charm years after her untimely demise. 86 uninterrupted seconds of silence prevailed in the British House of Commons when news broke of her passing. It was a measure of respect typically reserved for members of the House, but extended for Princess Diana, reflecting the deep-seated sorrow that gripped hearts on that tragic day. As we reach the culmination of our journey back to August 31st, 1997, it allows us to glance back at the significant points we've discussed and reflect on them. On this day, the world lost a princess, a humanitarian, a charismatic icon, but importantly, a real person underneath the royal glare. The shockwaves of that event were felt around the globe. Its echoes still resound in our collective memory. In dissecting the narrative of Princess Diana's life and her untimely death from multiple aspects, her much-celebrated entry into royalty, her tumultuous relationships, an undying dedication towards upliftment of the downtrodden, and her enduring charm that gave her an everlasting ticket into the hearts of millions, we have tried to piece together an understanding of one of the most intriguing personas of modern history. But remember, every stitch in the fabric of history is nuanced, layered with multiple perspectives and interpretations. I encourage you to take a moment and reflect on Diana's story. What aspect resonates with you the most? What are your thoughts and impressions about Princess Diana, based on what you knew before and what you learned today? Is there a lesser-known fact or perspective about this day that you'd like to share? Feel free to reflect and share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more. Thank you for being a part of this journey today, and I'll see you next time for another historic event that happened on a day like this.